What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about, in Suicide Squad Kill a Justice League, which Batman are we dealing with? Now, let me explain this, okay? So, the Rocksteady, the DC Fandom, full trailer thing with Will Arnett and all that, that was posted on YouTube over the past week or so, and I think that's gotten more people talking. I know I was asked this on Twitter as well, and it did get me to go into this topic, so thank you, by the way, to the person that did this. There was talk in that trailer, in that presentation, when Harley was talking about that she could see it now, Harley Quinn finally kills the Bat, and that I called that, or we talked about that basically right when it happened. We're like, oh, that was a kind of weird thing to say. Why would you say something like that? And we've talked about timelines. Where is this set in the Arkham timeline? Because we know this is a extension of the Arkham world that is going to be taking place in it. But the way, even Sefton Hill said it is kind of odd. And it doesn't necessarily, I would say, guarantee that it's taking place after Arkham Knight. Although it could, and if it does, we can still talk about it. So I do want to go over basically all the possibilities. What timeline are we in, if we're in a different timeline in general, and which Batman? Are we actually dealing with the Batman in the Arkham games? Or are we dealing with a different one? What are we actually dealing with here? Before I do that, if you guys do like this stuff, make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, have the bell icon turned on. If you guys haven't joined our Discord server yet, the link for it is in the description below. We're steadily growing. We got lots of really awesome people over there willing to talk about pretty much anything. So again, if you guys haven't joined yet, link for it's in the description. Also, happy Thanksgiving to any of my American viewers who celebrate it. Truly hope you guys are having an amazing day. I'm recording all these before Thursdays, but we are going to have a normal amount of videos on the channel today, just so that everybody knows. So, okay, I have said this before. We even made a video saying, okay, does this take place before or after Arkham Knight? And that's important, and that is something, that obviously is a big part of this video as well. If you take place after Arkham Knight, well, that's the hardest one. To be quite, if it's before, with the Justice League, we never really knew all that much about them in the Arkham world. They were definitely hinting at Superman. I mean, basically teasing it out of their minds, right? In Arkham Knight, but it's was Batman part of this of the Justice? I keep wanting to say Suicide Squad because it's the name of the game. Was he part of the Justice League and he quit? What is it still going on and he just didn't have anything to do with them at the time? You know what I mean? What exactly was happening? We don't know. So, happening before Arkham Knight would be messy, but it almost, it wouldn't be all that bad. You know what I mean? Because you could probably find a pretty okay time. Maybe it could be in between Origins and Asylum. So you can kind of throw Origins stuff in there. You can throw Asylum stuff in there, and it would be right in the middle. You know what I mean? Before all that stuff. So, to be honest with you, that would maybe be the best time period because we know there's several years of a gap in between those games, whereas Asylum to City is what? It's not a lot of time. Because Joker is poisoned and he's dying. Very little time. And then between City and Night, even less time, right? Very, very little time, honestly, between any of these games. So to happen in between, I would argue any of them makes zero sense. It either needs to be after Night or before Asylum. To me, that's it. In the official Arkham universe, in the timeline, right? There could be other timelines. You could, and then by the way, with Flash, which we don't know for sure if he's in this game, but I would assume he is, considering I don't think Superman's going to be the only Justice League character. Maybe it's possible that something bad goes on and they have to go to an alternate timeline where you could really do an Injustice thing, right? Where maybe some characters are killed off in one of them, but you have to go to a different timeline where they are around, so you have to go into that one. Very possible they do that. So let's talk about it. If they go before Arkham Asylum, then I would argue you get Kevin Conroy back, and because again, you have to think about, too, the relationship Rocksteady probably has with him. I would assume he'd be game to do it again, 100%. To have him back as Bruce, to have him back as Batman would be absolutely awesome. So I think that makes sense. I mean, you could go Roger Craig Smith, right? If you want to, if it's a younger Batman again, if it's in the beginning of the Arkham stuff. But see, that's another thing too. That always, and it's tough. And as I always say, it's very tough to talk about this game so far in advance because we don't know all that much about it. One of the most promising things that could also be a negative, you could also turn into a negative, but easily one of the most promising things about this game is if it's after Arkham Knight, or even if it's just in an alternate universe in general, but still part of the Arkham timeline, you could actually kill off Justice League members. It'd be bold. It'd be risky. It's not a guarantee like, oh my God, this is just an amazing thing. They could very well like butcher it, okay? But you could do it. And just the premise of being able to do it is like there's a lot there, okay? So if it's before Asylum, you got to keep Batman. You got to keep Superman. I guess you could technically kill off a couple of the, like you could kill an Aquaman or Flash or Wonder. Like if you wanted to do that, you could, because we heard nothing about them in the 3, Rocksteady Arkham games, right? So like it's very like if you did it before Asylum, you could eliminate half the Justice League and be completely fine. Again, like with Harley and with even the characters of the Suicide Squad, I mean, are those hints at the time period? There's really not that much we can go off of either, right? We also don't know where Joker is. Knowing if Joker's alive or dead, that's a big one too. In fact, I think we've talked about that, right? Would Joker be in this game? Well, in order for Joker to be in it, he'd again have to be before Asylum or before Asylum, before Origins, whatever you want to do, but before Asylum, or it would just have to be an alternate universe. But again, the issue is every time I say that, I mean, I don't know if people are, I think the people that watch these videos are pretty in tune with how I think, and you guys are loyal fans. And by the way, I greatly appreciate you guys watching these videos. I don't think anybody's going to get too mad. I know when I maybe say alternate universe, when I say that, it's like, well, doesn't that mean it's not in the Arkham timeline if you say that? Maybe, like, is there a way of like doing something where you mess with things in an alternate universe, but you start the game in the Arkham timeline, you end the game in the Arkham timeline, and therefore you can say Suicide Squad takes place in the Arkham universe? You know what I mean? I think there is loopholes, like ways of getting around that kind of statement. It's a bold statement. It's not something I mean, look, we thought Arkham was done. We thought the Arkham universe was done. We thought Rocksteady's game was going to be part of the same universe as Warner Bros. Montreal, and it's not. And so that's confusing, and that's weird, and that's different, and that opens up a whole, that opens up a lot of potential failure, of potential like really cool things. But if it's after Arkham Knight and we're not switching universes, okay, then it could still be, because then the issue, and we've talked about this before, the issue is you then have to make very clear what you did at the end of Arkham Knight. The whole, when you 100% the game and you see some Batman using basically Scarecrow's toxin, you now have to explain that, which I would honestly prefer you don't. There's some things in games that you don't do. You don't make a major decision for a player in like a choice-based game, like the biggest decision. Or if it ends on one of two choices, you've pretty much ended your franchise. One of the main reasons why one of my personal favorite games of all time, this may make people mad, Life is Strange. Life is Strange Season 1. I would love to have Max come back. I would argue that the franchise has gone completely downhill since then, mainly because of Max, because you need to bring her back. But if you did that, you'd have to choose one of the endings for us. You'd have to make the decision to end Arcadia Bay or end Chloe. You'd have to do that for us, even though you let us do it. Mass Effect 3, while people despise that ending, if you did a 4, which they would never do, and that's good, if you did a 4, you'd have to choose one of the end. You know what I mean? And by the way, like, yes, you actually would. You'd have to choose, because if it is directly associated, if it's another Mass Effect game in general, which they did with Andromeda, and they'll do for the next game, you don't have to choose. Life is Strange 2, you don't have to choose, because it's a different set of characters, it's a different setting. None of the stuff in the first game really even matters, right? And so, that's an issue, I think, all on its own, but that's still something that is kind of an unwritten rule of gaming. So for this, it's not a choice-based thing. In fact, that's even worse, right? Because it's something that you did. This is a more ambiguous thing. It's something you did at the end of Arkham Knight that not everybody actually would have even seen, because you had 100% of the game. Now, you could, of course, watch it on YouTube. I would say the vast majority of people that played Arkham Knight, or people that are interested in these games, they've seen the true ending, okay? But now you have to explain it. And I think the whole point of that final ending, the true ending, was that You don't really know. Did he survive? Is that actually Bruce Wayne as Batman, and he's like, he's still going around? Did Jason Todd like pick up the mantle? Did Nightwing do it? I mean, there's actually quite a few, and that's why I say, like, which Batman could it be? It could be Bruce Wayne. It could be the Bruce we know from the Arkham games. It could be Jason Todd. Maybe he, after Bruce died, he took it up, and he's obviously handling it a lot differently. He's using Scarecrow's toxin. He's going to use a more aggressive feel. Maybe it's Nightwing. Maybe it's maybe it's Robin. Maybe it's a lot of other characters, right? If you do an alternate timeline, it could be a Bruce Wayne from another one. It could be a Damian Wayne, right? There's a lot of different options here, and I think that's exciting. But again, you got to be careful, because if you're after Arkham Knight, then you have to like make something canon that previously wasn't really known. I think that takes away from it, and it's just something in games that I don't think you do. To be honest with you, I'm heavily leaning this is either before Asylum, which would make sense because everything would still kind of work out really nice, or again, we're going to start in the current Arkham world, but we're going to kind of take it somewhere else and then come back, providing that loophole where it's like, well, we did other things. We brought characters that maybe shouldn't have been around, and all this different stuff, but we started and ended in the Arkham world, so we're still in the Arkham world, and we kind of tricked you, but we didn't exactly trick you. That's what I'm more leaning that they may be doing, okay? So let me know, guys, in the comments below, which Batman do you think is going to be in this game? If Batman, maybe they did that by accident. Maybe they didn't even think about that. Do you think Batman will even be in the game? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And again, if you guys haven't joined our Discord server, link for it's in the description below. Would love to have you guys there. More Suicide Squad videos coming every so often. As you can tell, I took quite a large break from it, but I do want to talk about it every 2, 3, 4 weeks. Every so often, I want to throw a video in. And obviously, as there's more news, which we will, I assume, get as the year as 2021 basically goes on, I will be doing more stuff on it, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.